Okay, something went wrong with my stream on Restream. I don't know what happened with their servers, maybe. I'm just gonna check if things are back to normal. Okay, I think we're back. So I don't know which part we got to. So sorry for the drop. There was a problem with the Restream stuff. Yeah, I got this to work, by the way. So the solution was to not be an idiot in terms of making crazy tests that are too complicated, unnecessarily complicated. And in this case, I had demanded that conference doesn't exist, but it actually did in the past. So I changed the error to be registration is closed. And I changed this in the code. And so, you know, this implementation that it gave is good. It does have an accumulator that has closed conferences, registrations, and active conferences. A little bit overkill. We kind of don't need to look back for that, but it'll do the job. And then, of course, the good thing is it's throwing the appropriate errors if the state is not, you know, what it's supposed to be. As in all of these red boxes that pop up here when we try to do the registration at the wrong time in history, right? Like we don't have an open registration yet, or we were trying to do it with different IDs that aren't there. So, you know, showing these red boxes, it did create all of these here. And this is the first time where I have to really just start to think about what I want more clearly. And it kind of shows the problem with some of the organizational issues as we develop systems together with people giving us requirements that are impossible to fill. And that's exactly what I did to the AI, is gave it really flaky specifications here. And of course, it did start to get into this whack-a-mole situation with the one test failing, fixing that one, the other one would fail, and you go back and forth. Even trying to paste in that, hey, you've done this twice now, and this is what keeps recurring, it still couldn't get it because it pinned the fact that it needs to make an implementation that works to satisfy this really weird way of reacting to a previous conference being closed already and you're trying to register for an old conference. So the fix was really about making nice requirements that don't ask ridiculous things. And as soon as I did that, everything worked. I still don't have, I don't think, this this extra row here. So let me just close this for now and close this for now, because I have everything passing, but I don't think we have the complete history here. So you know, we can go here and take a look at this. Yeah, we have that row, we have that row, we have this next row here. We have the next row with the exception here, and then we have the two events with the progress marker in the middle, correct? And then we have this exception and the test. And this is where we have a problem. Registration is closed. You already, yeah. And then we have this event and command for this last one. And then, is this actually correct? See, this is really odd because we have this stuff about like registration IDs. So it's really not wanting to listen to this. It's kind of confused. Like, why are you doing this crazy stuff? This is really hard to do. So, you know, I'm kind of inclined to just, I already said this is almost impossible to happen. So I'm inclined to just say, let's not make this stupidly complicated. It's probably going to be a bad example for everyone. And let's be realistic here and move this up and have this as our proper history. We can move this up now. All right, we have this. This is now much nicer. Okay, much nicer. It reflects what we have here, and then we have the other timeline. Registration's closed. That really shows what it's supposed to be, like what's supposed to be happening, which is good. Move this up, and then let's just run the solution and see that we actually can work this into actually have this working properly here. So I want to actually integrate it into our dev environment, which is our branch. So let's do that. I want to add this back in here. I'm done looking at that. This looks pretty good. I'm glad that it actually started inserting our tests and things into where it's supposed to be, probably because I had an Anchor implementation here already. I had this register state change in here already. So its implementation, I don't really look at this. I mean, we could fiddle around with this and make it to our specs, but again, this is kind of showing the by the slice approach that even if we have questionable implementation, it's not going to affect other state changes. The only thing that it can do is return, you know, this type of event, and the rest of the slices are independent of what happens here. So even if we may not like how this implementation was done, do I really want sets in here? I guess that's an easy way to see if something exists. You know, things like that. So, right, check if registration is closed first, closed conferences, right? Check if existence, right, has. Finally, check if already registered for this conference, right? All of this stuff. So it actually did a good job, and then these tests are running, and for the most part, I mean, it's kind of a good sign that it stopped copying the ridiculous scenarios that I was putting in there. Yeah, and this is the first time that it's happened. Most of the times when I have something very logical and, you know, things progress as you expect, then we have all of it implemented correctly. So interesting lessons learned today. Okay, so let's get this thing wrapped up, and yeah, it's way past midnight, so time to time for me to wrap this up. So get status. What do we have changed? We have this register thing, which we copied anyway from the other slice, which is fine, and that should merge just fine. And we actually modified it. Interesting. So get diff. Okay, we have all of that. I'm curious about the, okay, those are all our tests. Oh, right, we added this conference ID in there, which is interesting. So, Right, because the get doesn't need anything in there. Actually, no, the get does have the... Oh, that's correct. Okay, the get has this conference ID in there too, I think. It'll still be interesting. We might have some problems here that we have to come back and fix. But let's just assume that because it's running fine, we're going to git add everything. Git status. Yeah, we only have these things changed, correct? Our tests are embedded in the actual implementation here. So that's why we don't have a separate test project that's being shown, but that's the way we have the solution structured right now. So git commit finished registration state change slice, and we can push that up. Now we want to get checkout, and we want to, I should use the new switch, right? Not checkout, but whatever. I don't care. I want to go to my dev branch, and I want to merge sure, no fast forward state change register. And of course we have two conflicts. Very interesting. Let's take a look at this. Here we have, I see. So register ID, params ID. Oh, I see. Okay. So we have this, okay, I like this. And what is that? So let's just accept both. And this is interesting. Response conference name. So it's giving me the response object here. I think I need the conference ID in there. Okay, so it feeds that back because this is the ID. That's fine. So it doesn't need this because that's exactly the same thing. Oh, no, hold on a second. I need to do the conference ID in here. So response, oops. That's what I need. And I don't need this other thing here, correct? So it knows that I don't need that. And then I don't need that. I think that's it for that one. And then here, what's the other one? Oh, okay, the mustache one. So register mustache, we have, yeah, in this case, we want the post action to go here. So we want the incoming change. That's the better one. Okay, so now since we've rewritten these, we can first of all make sure that all the tests still work, and they do. Now we have 33 tests. Okay, so our dev branch is okay like that. Now we can do node app and just run it. And then we want to go to join conference. And of course it shows up on the wrong thing here. I was looking at other tabs. Drag that over. Okay. We have this QR code. Why is this a weird Chrome box here? That okay. So now we have this as something we can use, and let's pretend we are an attendee. Go to that. Okay, good. And then we say Atom, and notice that we have this existing thing here. Let's just open up we have these, so we should see an event get written. And we don't. Session ID is not defined. Okay. So we did registration ID instead of session ID. So where do we have? What do we miss? Okay, let's go to that part. Oh, it's a router. Session ID is not defined. Welcome to conference name. This form has a participant name. So let's take a look at our code. So it's the post that has a problem. It's getting the participant name. Where is the session ID getting asked for? It's one place. Oh, here we go. This is where the session ID is. We have a registration ID. And that was part of the post. So this fix actually has to be done in our branch as well. So it should be a no op to fix it. I can fix it here. For now. But that should have failed. Could we actually? We can't really test that, can we? No, we could. So if we actually ran this in our individual slice branch, we should have caught it there. But whatever. I'll check it out and do it there. So let's just rerun this. Make sure that we don't have that issue again. So here we will right, so we have this, we can copy that, and we can go back in and welcome to the spaces. Let's try Atom. Let's make sure we're looking at our, oh, it actually did. So that's interesting. So we had an error. Oh, register success. So that's good. It's actually moving, but we registered twice, which is okay. Or is it? And this is, okay, the other problem here, register command ID is wrong. So we have a couple of other problems here. I don't like the way that this is actually, the event is called here, the type. So return that, and then register event. We want to make sure push event register command. Yeah, that is not what we want to do. The command is that, but we want to push that event. And I forget what the syntax is to populate every single property from some other object. That's what it should be doing, because those are bad. Yeah, it doesn't. Yes, it's supposed to be an event. That's a type for command, and that's not good. In fact, we don't even need this unless we're routing commands, because we know where we're passing it to. Right, we're passing it to the registered state change, and we have the register command here. So we're not routing based on commands at all. So we don't really need this here. And then ID, registration ID, conference ID. Where is ID? That's coming from. I guess we could have conference ID then. Yeah, that's better. But what is this last thing here? Is that the name? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what we do. We actually put in some data into the file names at times. Actually, I think we should do that going like from these, looking at these previous implementations. I think we stopped doing the embedding data into the file name of the event, which I think is quite useful. I like looking at the file names and knowing some of the internals there. So that's good. But yeah, this wasn't the easiest one to deal with, because we were kind of flip-flopping on the spec, actually, what we wanted. We didn't really know what we wanted in this case. And so, yeah, let's just see if things can actually continue here. If I refresh this, do I have the same one? I do. If I submit that, do I get a different reference? ID is not defined. Yeah, of course. So that's the last thing that we did in order to correct these things. Registration ID. Okay, that ID. RAMS ID, conference ID. This is conference ID. Registration ID and conference ID. Any other IDs floating around without anything? Nope. We have conference ID everywhere here. This is another problem. It's conf ID, closed conferences, unique ID generated. Actually, that's not a problem, because we called it conf ID in this event. Ugh. So definitely have to redo this entire solution to make sure that we have consistent naming. But that's okay for now. We're good. So we run this. Let's go back and try to register again. Perfect. So now we have registered event ID, and we want the name as well. So we don't want the ID in there. In fact, this implementation needs to register state change type. Yeah. And so now we want to make sure that we push this event with, I don't want the conference ID. I want the registration ID. No. That's what we want. And we want, to kind of embed a bunch of data at the end, which is okay. And it's kind of messy and ugly. Yeah, so we want the registration ID, the name. I think we're parsing the event file names with looking for the dashes. We have 4 digits at the beginning, and then we look for the ending underscore event.json, and we ignore anything in between that. I think that's how we do it, but regardless, the type is embedded in the actual payload, so we don't really care. This is really just for our, so I want to know that I registered under this, and yeah, but I should be getting an error. I do this again, but it's allowing me to do both of these, right? So I'm doing this. Oh, I didn't rerun it. So now I see that I am failing in terms of, I successfully keep registering to the same conference, which means we're not actually checking something here, which is weird. How did our test miss this and our implementation do that? Again, we're in this merge window, so probably we should just throw away this merge. And go back to our previous branch and actually try and make sure that this runs here, and that we, with this isolated, we should be able to right, okay, so we have that session ID problem, which is something we should have fixed before, right? This is a registration ID. Okay, so that should be fixed now. And so if we go back here, back and register as Adam, it's successful. But it's successful, and we keep adding this, and of course we have the wrong things in here, and of course, yeah. So it's just adding more and more, and yeah, so it's failing for checking a previous registration. So why is that? Why are our tests not catching that? So our implementation here, we should be able to throw in a test that should, yeah. So where is this exception? You're already registered, right? So you're already registered. I have a scenario here where I have this event that has this conference ID, this registration ID, and oh, I see. So that's actually correct. There is no problem. We have a specification missing. We're essentially simulating another person coming in and saying that their name is also Adam. So there's actually not a problem. The implementation is correct. We just don't have a good enough specification here. We want to add another spec at the end here, and we can update our tests. So first timeline, you know, already registered is kind of a crap test, really, because you know, this is one of those things where you're really trying to see if you've got the same registration ID, and there's no real way to do that. This registration ID is generated for you server side, so this is actually bad. It should check the name, right? So it should have the exception of saying someone by this name was already registered. Are you sure you want to register using this name or whatever? Maybe we just don't allow it. So you say, please choose a different name. So I think I'm going to stop this here. I'm not going to commit this. I didn't push up that integration, but in tomorrow's stream, we're going to fix this up and just get a better test going. Yeah, it's getting too close to 1 a.m. So I'd like to continue, but I got to get up in the morning. So again, hope you kind of learned something, you know, how things can go wrong and how you can use, you know, this idea of expanding this, you know, example timeline and how you can investigate some of these little gotchas. And in here, we're kind of showing that some of these scenarios are not realistic. For example, the registration ID is not going to be resent. As you saw, every time I post, there's a new ID, new registration ID generated on the server side. That's no way that I have control of that. So these are not realistic situations, and it's just bad tests. So let's power through this tomorrow. Ironically, this probably would have been faster to just plow through without tests, but we wanted to play around with this specification and kind of discovered that giving AI bad specs, it's going to give you bad results. So garbage in, garbage out. Compare that with the recordings I had of the previous specs for the previous slices, how flawlessly they went because the specs were good. We got perfect test execution on the first try, perfect implementation on the first try. And we had quite long, you know, these were quite long specifications too. You know, this one and this one. We had all of these ones that had, you know, quite, I think we even had a third one. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it was like these two that we had. Or was it really like maybe this one? I forget. Anyway, some of these that already exist, we had a couple of them done by AI, and they were flawless because the specs made sense. So anyway, sorry about the interruption. I don't know why Restream dropped the the stream, but hopefully I was able to kind of answer, you know, the middle of like what happened while I was offline. So. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, and this will be fun. And